Hi, welcome back to Fresh Faces, New Ideas. My name's David. Now, if you like the channel or you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter at Faces Ideas, and that'll keep you up to date with all the videos I do and all the things that I tweet. Now, so this video, we're going to watch the Sean Hannity interview with Caitlyn Jenner as a potential candidate to run in the Gavin Newsom recall election. Now, let's be clear. The fact that Caitlyn Jenner is running as a Republican right now is like the most mind-blowing thing ever. Because I know she is a supporter of Donald Trump. She said it. However, the Republican Party currently is running on like three things. Election integrity, voter suppression. Trans people are all bad. They're all coming to murder you and destroy women's sports. And illegals are coming over and over again, and they're going to come murder you and your kids. So that's basically what they're running on. Now, Caitlyn Jenner used to be Bruce Jenner. So she's a trans person. And half of their party doesn't think she deserves any rights. And I imagine the other half of the party thinks that if she was, 20 years young, I don't know actually know how old she is, but I mean, if she was running in trying to be an Olympic athlete, well, she should be allowed to do that because clearly she's a man. So this whole candidacy is just a joke. Also, she has no fucking idea what she's talking about. Like at all. Most of this interview is a good chance for Hannity to spew some anti-Newsom garbage. Now, the way this recall works is once you get enough signatures, it triggers the recall. And then it's basically a free-for-all. And whoever gets the most amount of votes wins. Right? You don't need you don't need above 50%. You just need to have the most votes. That's how Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor the first time. He won on a recall election. He got like 48% of the vote. So they're going to talk about the signature. So she's going to talk about that. We're going to look at some of her comments on trans people. We're going to have to do some debunking about the things Sean Hannity asked her. But, oh boy. So this is like a 12-minute video, and the first like 5 or 6 minutes is kind of her talking about her history as an athlete and her living in California. And I think it's her dad as well. I kind of zoned out a little bit because I'm telling you, this is such a joke that a majority of the aired interview has literally nothing to do with her candidacy. Okay, so let's take a look at this and try to suffer through it together.
For her, yeah.
Okay, so she just got an intro that's from a different video. I cut it because I didn't want to have extra stuff.
It's all true.
It is true. It absolutely is true. First of all, I got a gift.
Oh, thank you. What is it?
I know.
I love gifts.
We're into the face mask thing out here in California, so I thought I would get you one.
Hannity supports Caitlyn. He's not allowed to. He's on the news. Okay.
Recalled Gavin Newsom.
By the way, I support the recall.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you think about it. I just have such respect for athletes.
Lies. The only athletes he respects are ones that agree with his position. If you asked him whether he respected LeBron, irregardless of his political position, whether you respect the overall ability of his game and whether he is one of the 2 or 3 greatest players of all time, or the actual philanthropy work that he has done, Sean Hannity will say no.
You didn't win the gold in 72. You came back in 76, and you won the gold. A great Olympian, a great champion. And you're really, well, I always say politics is a blood sport.
It is.
And a part of me is saying, what the hell are you thinking? This is hard.
It was not an easy decision. It took an awfully long time. I've always been involved in politics. For the LGBT community, I used to go back. But in 1973, I graduated from college in Iowa. I packed up my 63 VW Bug and drove across the country, everything I owned in the back seat. And I was coming to California, the Golden State. I went to San Jose.
All right, we're going to fast forward this because this is not relevant to what we're talking about.
5-mile radius of surround myself with some.
This is her talking about.
I'm a fighter, always have been. I come from a long line of fighters. My grandfather was in World War I, was in the dead pile. Somebody was walking by and heard a moan, and they said, "Oh my God, somebody's alive in here," and pulled him out, but went on to live a good life. Ranger Battalion. 60 came back alive. He's buried at Arlington with all.
Okay, that's our family's
We
history.
can fight, because we got to fight. You say it all the time. If we can fight, somebody's got to stand up. You know, I'm not going up Omaha Beach. I'm going up again in Sacramento. But we have to change things. I love this country. I'm a patriot. I love this state. The state's done so much for me over the years, but I've watched it crumble right in front of my eyes.
Now, look, to be fair, there are a lot of problems with California. Their homeless population is a huge issue. Part of it is corruption. The reason that they have such a high homeless population is because when they build these tenement houses, they basically just give them to rich people, or that they're bought out by rich people or foreign investors to keep empty because it's a nice, easy place for them to hide all their money. So when they do that, it forces homeless people on the street because there's more federal open housing. Like there's more empty houses than there are homeless people. Like the problem to solve homeless people, it's easier than just fuck homeless people.
And you got to stand up, you know? And so I knew it would not be easy. I knew it'd be tough. But you know what? California's worth fighting for. And that's what I'm doing.
Let's talk about, I want to, in the course of the time we have here together,
Right.
I want to get specific
Okay.
on very specific issues. Let's start with a general overall, overarching. I want
Specific issues, but let's go general because you're going to see she has no idea what she's talking about.
you to grade Gavin Newsom. I want you to define what a compassionate disruptor is, words you've used to describe yourself. And then we'll get into the specifics of what it would take for California, a state you clearly love, to recover. And are you a
Gavin
Republican
Newsom,
or a
yeah.
Democrat? You know,
What I see in Gavin Newsom is
Now, that question's important because he asked it a whole bunch of times. I'm not even sure she actually answers it. But she voted for Trump. And the reason he asked this is because they're not really sure what they want to do with her. She is a high-profile Republican-ish, but if they back her, they can use her as a cudgel to hit all the people who they say they're being transphobic when they introduce these bills. So I think they're trying to figure out, well, how do we hate trans people but back this person?
politician up to special interests, makes his decision as a politician in special interests, and the hypocrisy that is going on right now. It's like there's one set of rules for Sacramento, and there's another set of rules for everybody else. I mean, you've seen the video of him at the French Laundry, okay? I can't go down to my restaurant.
So, look, she's going to make some interesting points, but let's talk a little bit about hypocrisy. Because, yes, the thing she's about to say about Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi were fucking terrible optics. I don't understand it. Like, it was really dumb, and they shouldn't have done it. However, there's another type of hypocrisy that's actually more dangerous. And it's what Fox News has done. Because all of the Fox News, well, actually, Sean might not, but Tucker's vaccinated. And he's out here, I think literally yesterday, saying that thousands of people have died because of the vaccine. So they want to be protected, but they don't care about you.
And all the employees in that restaurant down there are not working. okay? And he's up there dining. We see Nancy Pelosi.
Okay, so this is the other thing. The way the recall works, let's just look at this really quickly. So the way a recall works is you need to get 12% of voters in the last election, and that must include. So the magic number for this would be 1,495,000 valid signatures. So they got that number in order to recall him. And then voters will ask two questions. They want to recall Gavin Newsom, and if more than 50% say yes, who should replace him? So what comes next? They do verifying signatures. So they have to verify the signatures to make sure they're correct, because they don't want people just making repeat signatures. You can actually do this. So maybe you do this to withdraw signatures. So let's say you start at the top pandemic, where there was this big fervor of how dare you shut down the government? It is my right to give everyone COVID and not have to worry about masks, so I can go live it. I can go to Applebee's. And then it goes to the cost. It sets the election date. The candidates run, and then they vote. So that's how it works. Okay, so that's how we ended up here.
I can't go to my hair salon. All the salons in my town are closed. Nobody can go in there. Nobody's working. People are losing money. But she can sneak in. And it's the hypocrisy of what's going on. Yes, it is a dynasty, I guess you could say, in Sacramento. They've really been in charge for the last 40 years. I mean, we had Reagan come in a little bit, Arnold come in a little bit as Republicans, but it's been a dynasty. And as we see,
I mean, you could say that for like any state that's been solidly blue, solidly red for a long time, like Florida and Texas. Texas has been red forever. That's how we got the Bush, the younger Bush, and then Jed was the governor of Florida. I mean, it's a dynasty ever, because you need the money in order to keep going.
Happens here. And in the recall, everybody was behind the recall. They needed 1.5 million votes. They got 2.1. But of course, the Democrats had to verify every signature. Mm-hmm. Isn't it shocking?
No, you dumb shit. But, you gotta, because you're kind of a Republican, you gotta hit that sweet voter fraud pocket, which is like a majority of your people. You do have to verify signatures. And guess what? They verify signatures in an election too. They did it in 2020. And you know what they found? No fraud. Well, actually, they did find fraud. It was a couple cases of fraud. Most of them were Republicans. And but you don't want to talk about that.
It doesn't shock me.
And eventually they had wound up, after they disallowed like 500,000 of them, and they had 1.6. So the recall is on. But I'm really fighting against the hypocrisy that's going on at that. He's been bad on every issue. He's bad on taxes. Obviously, the most taxed state in the nation. He's been horrible for
California. If it was a country, would have like the 7th highest GDP in the world. So part of the reason you're taxed so much is because you make so much fucking money. And the way our tax system works is marginal. So if you make, let's say it's broken into tiers, like you make 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, and it's like if you make $10,000, you get taxed at 4%. If you make $30,000, you get taxed at 50%. So the first $10,000 you make, you get taxed at 4%. The second $10,000, once you hit $20,000, that from the $10,000 in the first to $20,000, you get taxed at whatever that percentage is. And then the 30th percentile is whatever that percentage. That's how taxes work.
business. Obviously, companies are leaving left and right. 18,000 companies have left California. My friends are leaving California. Actually, were at my hangar, the guy across.
So another thing, because I skipped this, they're actually in her plane hangar right now.
Right over me, he was packing up his hangar. I said, "Where are you going?" And he says, "I'm moving to Sedona, Arizona. I can't take it here anymore. I can't walk down the streets and see the homeless. I don't want to leave." Okay, Either I stay and fight or I get out of here.
So if a Democrat said that, they would be an out-of-touch coastal elitist. But Caitlyn Jenner can say, look, man, I was talking to my hangar guy, and he said I can't stand all the homeless people, so I'm leaving. Like, what the fuck is this?
Let's describe, you can answer the specifics. Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you independent? And I really want you to define this term, a compassionate disruptor. What is a compassionate disruptor?
I've kind of played around with that term. And originally I started out as a compassionate disruptor. And then I was thinking the other day, I think I'm more of a thoughtful disruptor. I have common sense. Okay, I see what's going on and I see no common sense in politics and why they're doing it, besides only for political reasons. And I have always been on the Republican side just because I have conservative economic values. The old saying, lower taxes, less regulations, a more friendly business environment. And we don't have that in California. But socially, I've been much more progressive all my life. I get it. People do need help. We need programs. But you cannot have social programs without an economy. Doesn't happen. You just don't have the finances to do it. And that's what's happening here in California. And so it's been...
That literally makes no sense. So she's one of those people who says, oh, I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm socially liberal. So that means I'm okay with cutting taxes for rich people, but I don't think we should shoot gay people in the street. But I also like social programs, but we can't afford them because we have to keep the businesses running. I mean, this is just nonsense.
So frustrating for me. I don't care. Honestly, I like everybody. I'm friends with everybody.
I don't like everybody. There are people I don't like in life. But
I can get along with anybody, Sean. I can get along. So honestly, I don't really care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a libertarian, vegetarian. It doesn't make any difference to me. I want solutions. If the Democrats are able to come up with great solutions, I am behind that 100%. Solutions to bring this state back and to give the power of this state back to the people and not to special interests in Gavin Newsom.
Well, there was a lot of nonsense in there. But look, taking it away from special interests is great. If you support that, then you should support SR1 and the For the People Act, which allows for public financing of elections. But a lot of this was word salad that they're either going to be, when they decide if they're going to back her or not, they're either going to be able to prop up or to rip apart. Now, I don't know if she did that on purpose, because you'll see in an answer she has no idea about other things. But, I mean, she hit like all the buzzwords for either way on that.
let's get to specifics.
Uh-oh.
No, uh-oh.
Let's go. Hit me with
Okay,
it.
California is a sanctuary state.
Yes.
You have sanctuary cities. Would you eliminate sanctuary status for the state of California?
Now, before she answers, let's clarify what sanctuary cities means, because there's actually two types now. So a sanctuary city and a sanctuary state is when the local government says that law enforcement does not have to cooperate with federal government in certain areas. Now, in California and in a couple of other blue cities, it's ICE, because a lot of what ICE does is overreach, and it's a rogue organization. So they don't cooperate with them as much when it comes to deportations things. But these are generally when they're going after non-criminal offenders. However, there's a new type of sanctuary city that Republicans are okay with, and these are gun sanctuary cities. I think it's Montana that was the first one to do this. And basically what they said is you're not allowed to cooperate with you shouldn't have to cooperate with the ATF if they try to enforce gun laws. Now, somebody who actually understood this issue would ask Sean, why is he okay with one but not the other? And the answer is because guns matter more than brown people. Now, Caitlyn Jenner is going to give you a mind-blowingly stupid answer.
I would keep it a sanctuary state for small businesses.
Meaning?
Meaning,
What is that?
I want small businesses to come into this state. I want people to create wealthier. I want them to employ people. Yeah, but as far as immigration, no, I am not on that. We need to spend some money to have a fair and equitable immigration system in this state.
Gavin Newsom, for the record.
So that last part is actually right. We do need to spend money. We do need to create a pathway to citizenship. We need to overhaul our immigration system. The first part of it is she doesn't know what sanctuary cities are. Because if you do, that answer makes no sense. How do you have a sanctuary city for small businesses? What does that even mean?
He's given $500 checks to illegal immigrants.
Yes.
Guaranteeing health care for illegal immigrants.
Right.
He's guaranteeing education for illegal immigrants.
Now, pause. There is nuance to that. One is this. This is what he's referring to. This, basically, if you got fired, you could call up and they can give you some relief. And it wouldn't matter on your unemployment, your immigration status, because they still put money into. And the reason for that is the disaster relief fund will support undocumented immigrants impacted by COVID-19 who are ineligible for unemployment insurance benefits and disaster relief, including the CARES Act, due to their immigration status. So they will receive a one-time cash benefit of $500 per adult per cap of $1,000 per household to deal with the needs. Now, what that means is, if I was an illegal immigrant, I'm not allowed to apply for whatever base unemployment benefits California has, plus whatever the bonus was originally for COVID. So because I'm still a person and I still need money and I need help, the government is still going to help me. That's what that is. Now, as for the healthcare, let's be clear. Every single person pays for healthcare for everybody else. That is how healthcare works. The question is, how much do you pay and how much healthcare do they get? So when they go to the emergency room, it actually costs more. So basically what California did was they expanded their Medicare program for any undocumented adults up to 25, which would cover 90,000 people. Now, let's be clear. The Republicans are against Medicare for anybody. Missouri voters voted to expand Medicare, and the Republicans said, nope. We're not just you don't know what you're talking about, so it costs too much money. Even though it's covered by the government to like 95%, they refused to expand it.
It's a big issue. What would you do different? For example, if you could, would you continue building the border wall?
I am all for the wall.
Now, let's be clear also about the border wall. Depending on which rally you went to, the wall was either completed, almost completed, or had just started. Also, there was a story that came out last week that the Biden administration returned the funds used for the border wall. The reason that was because when Donald Trump actually funded the wall, it wasn't Mexico who paid for it. What happened was, when Congress would not give him the money, like they're supposed to, they're the power of the purse. Their job is to, their job is to allocate the money. He took it out of the military budget and said they're just going to back pay it. So he stole it from the military to build his wall.
I would secure the wall. We can't have a state. We can't have a country without a secure wall.
I hate this statement. This advocates that we didn't have a country for like the entirety existence of America.
You have two questions here. One is stopping people from coming in illegally into the state. And then the second question is, what do we do with the people that are here? We are a compassionate country, okay? We are a compassionate state. Some help. I mean, some people we're going to send back, okay? No question about that.
And look, this is a stance that people have. And I agree with. If you are a violent offender who is an illegal immigrant, you should be sent back. If you are here applying for asylum, you should follow the asylum rules. If you've been here because your visa overran, there should be a way to both reinstate your visa and to give you a pathway to citizenship. That's the difference.
But I have met some of the greatest immigrants into our country. I had a guy the other day, and he was Spanish, and I've known him for 17 years. And I said, you know what, come over here. I want to learn something, you know. What is your status?
This is so stupidly racist. I don't even know if this could be a true story. She knew a Spanish guy for 17 years and was like, you know what? Are you illegal? Based on the fact that he just spoke Spanish?
And he said, I've been in this country 17 years. This is a gentleman. I mean, this is the greatest guy. I want him to be a U.S. citizen, okay? He's an asset to this state and to this country. But he's been trying for 17 years to get citizenship. He says, I'm hoping.
Did he come in illegally, or did he stay over
I think it was on a visa.
on a
Now,
visa?
keep in mind, the vast majority of illegal immigrants are people who overstay their visa because they cannot get instated with a new one.
Yeah, and stayed. But he's been there, but has lost 2 jobs because he didn't have legal status. He finally got this other job where I met him. And he is the nicest, greatest guy. He would make, I mean, I would do everything for him to stay here. And so you have to deal with it. We have to modernize. We have not modernized our immigration system in the United States to make it possible to people to immigrate into
Let
this
me ask the
country.
question
It's
this
such a
way.
ridiculous
Would you
process.
allow the state to work with ICE and enforce the laws? In other words, people get out of jail. They are supposed to be deported. Would you eliminate all of the sanctuary status that currently exists in this state?
I would do my absolute best to do that. It's not going to be easy.
Okay. So he had to explain this further because the first time he asked it, she didn't understand.
But I
Stay
would
right
do
there.
my absolute best. I am for securing this state. I am pro law enforcement. I'm pro border protection, okay? ICE, pro ICE. We need these people, and they do a wonderful job.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Okay. So before this, she said that there's a question of fairness. While I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girls' sports, this just isn't fair. So let's wrap this up. Look, she is a hypocrite just on stating that fact because, and this is also a non-issue, as I've covered over and over again. There's about a dozen cases in Florida where they just passed this. When they asked Jim Justice about it in West Virginia, he couldn't find any. This is not an issue that needs to be dealt with. Look, I don't know if this is a real candidacy. I don't know what the Republicans are going to do with that because I look at that and there was actually some interesting points in there. But there wasn't a lot Republicans were going to like. They don't like her because she's trans. I'm actually surprised Sean Hannity didn't just call her Bruce. I think if it had been a regular person, he would have just called her Bruce the whole time. But she had no idea for most of the issues. It's all buzzwords. There was nothing real there. So look, the recall is happening. But she's not a serious candidate. And I'm kind of interested to see how the Republicans react to her. Because there's a lot of them that just by her mere presence of being a Republican are angry because of what she represents. So there's that. Now, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.